Hi friends, hope you're doing good and staying healthy. Today we are going to discuss about the taxability on conducting business through electronic platform or e-commerce. Nowadays it's very common that we do businesses through electronic platforms or e-commerce platforms like Amazon, Noon, or even various on websites. While doing business electronically, the major difference is that we don't have a direct contact of transaction between the seller and the buyer. In those scenarios, how is the taxability or what are the tax procedures that the seller has to comply according to the UAE VAT law? The major concerns to be addressed while considering the tax compliance for a seller who is doing an e-commerce transactions are whether he should register for VAT, whether he should file the VAT return, how to issue a tax invoice, how to collect VAT, all this. Firstly, let's think about the VAT registration requirement. In order to determine the VAT registration requirement, we should consider whether the seller is a resident in UAE or whether he is a non-resident. If he is a resident in UAE, he should look into the tax registration threshold, which are the voluntary registration threshold 187,500 or the mandatory registration threshold, which is 83,75,000. If his taxable turnover for the past 12 months is exceeding the registration threshold, he may determine to apply for registration as voluntarily, or if he is exceeding the mandatory registration threshold, he must register for UAE VAT. For a non-resident, VAT registration in UAE is mandatory if he makes a taxable supply in the UAE. Meaning to say that he should not look for whether his taxable turnover has exceeded 83,75,000 or 187,500 as we discussed for the resident in UAE. Now moving on to the taxability and the tax procedures which the registered person has to follow. Even if the supplier is making the sale through an e-commerce, he should charge VAT 5%. Further to the registration, the taxable person has to comply with the requirements of collecting VAT, issuing tax invoice, maintaining books, etc. Here, for an e-commerce seller, since the product and price would be listed in the electronic platform or in the website, the price displayed there should be inclusive of VAT according to the UAE VAT law. So it is very important that price should be inclusive of VAT and VAT should not be added in addition to the price. Also, the e-commerce seller should issue a tax invoice which are complying with the VAT law in UAE. Further, the e-commerce seller has the responsibility to file the VAT returns in respective tax period, and for that he should maintain proper books of accounts in which the taxable value, the tax amount, etc. are recorded properly. To summarize, an e-commerce seller should comply with the UAE VAT law by registering to the VAT in time, showing the price inclusive of VAT, displaying it in the website, charging the tax, issuing tax invoice in time, filing VAT returns in time, maintaining proper books of accounts, etc. Hope this video helps you to understand about the tax compliance of an e-commerce seller. Thank you.